Do you love me like I love you?
I am Clem.
I am Bron.
Hi, my name is Ndimni.
My name is Tatso.
Hello, my name is Simu Banza.
Hi, my name is Buhle Lupindo.
And I'm Shanae.
My name is Shore Jidibati.
Okay, wait, we have to be honest though, and fair. Okay, we have to be honest.
What are you talking
regarding this question? Because I feel like you're tiptoeing around it. But like, I feel like also
expanding on the question.
I guess so. Well, how I see our roles in a relationship is, I mean, people would think typically because the whole male and female and it's actually quite a feminist household, but not really. But in the sense that the domestic fights that you speak of were us figuring out, well, this is what society kind of says how we should be behaving when we're together now in our household. But actually, this is how we prefer in working. As in, funny enough, he's so much of a home, maker than I am actually. Because he does the cooking and he's so concerned about our interior and how everything feels.
Okay. Oh yeah.
So
interior, I'm into that stuff.
Yeah. So and I'm more like I clean up and I make sure I'm pedantic with that stuff. Like I make sure that the house stays. That's the one thing that I the upkeep. But he's the very nurturing, very nurturing one, I must say, because I do feel like I tend to be a bit like almost like my mom.
Yeah.
I have my mom's traits where she's like, I've cooked, I've done this, so this is your part. I don't expect me to do anything else. But he learns how to just shush that voice of mine, that bossy voice of mine. Or
podcasts help. Just podcasts. It's taken time, like realizing that house pot plants and these type of things are actually useful and make you feel good, and a little bit of green in your house is really nice. It took me almost 10 years to figure that out. It's such a simple thing, but I guess it's just growing.
Like roles in our relationship, our conversation, we had like right at the beginning where we were like, just be careful of like expecting that thing from someone. And with us having that conversation right at the beginning, if anyone feels uncomfortable in that role, or you just find yourself in a role that you're uncomfortable in, there has been space for us to have a conversation with. For example, there was a time last year, Sibu was like working like throughout all the time. And I was at home and doing school and coming home, doing school, coming home. So most likely all the chores are going to fall on me. But it got to a point where I was like, okay, I see a little bit of getting into roles here. I'm not doing this because I'm like a woman. I'm doing this because he works all day and I want to take care of him. And that's my love language. And then for him, he doesn't want to not cook that night. But unfortunately, he's on radio at 8 till 10 and he's not going to start cooking at like 10. So we just had to be wary of like stepping on each other's boundaries when it comes to roles in our relationship.
I mean, it's very weird because sometimes most times you don't realize that it's happening until somebody goes, yo, stop. Do you see what's going on here? Like with the work thing, like I just knew I was working a lot, like all the content creator work until like from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. And then I'd have an hour break, go to radio for the rest of the evening. And for me, I was like, in my head, I was like providing in a way. So I was working so much to make sure that we had money to be able to like pay our bills and stuff. And I didn't realize like the amount of pressure also from her side, because she goes to school and that's a lot. Like I didn't finish school, so I know how difficult school is. And the one day she came to me and said, dude, I see you like for a couple of hours every day. And in my head, I was just like, oh, I thought I was just making us money. Like, is that a bad thing? And she goes like, no, it's not a bad thing, but we just have to find a balance. Because also now, like she said, she comes back from school drained as hell. And now she has to cook for somebody who's only going to get back home when she's probably fallen asleep already. So we have to be very careful of that. Yeah.
In terms of roles that we might have settled into, I would say not typically, because everything is kind of 50-50 around the house. Cooking, cleaning, bills.
Yeah.
That's all sort of 50-50.
I do have a tiny lesbian toolkit. So I'm the one who does all the handy DIY stuff. It's literally this big. Because Sinead's actually terrible with any DIY. Like, wow, she's so bad.
Yeah.
So I do all of that stuff.
When it comes to roles, I think just in terms of how we exist within our relationship, just how we are, how we be. I'm much more softer and nurturing and motherly. And Sade is not. She's very affectionate, but
I'm not the nurturing type.
Yeah, I really need to tease it out of her and be like, "Oh, can we cuddle? Like, I love cuddle."
Yeah, she's the needy one in the relationship, and I love it. I mean, I'll give the love. I'm not like, I'll give the love and I'll receive the love. I am a gesture type of person, so I will show you my love with gestures.
The gestures are important. They, if I've had a tough day, she'll be really thoughtful and run the bath for me, or sit and listen to me moan about Karen from accounts, which are all really like basic moany things. And I think sometimes when she's listening to me rant about work or whatever, I think she must really love me. The way she just listens really is, she loves in different ways.
I do. Yes, I do. Lots of cuddling, lots of kissing and hugging and making out.
My stance on marriage is complex because I've always wanted to get married. I've always wanted to have that partnership and to be with one person forever. Well, not necessarily one person, we're taking it very far. But I wanted that long term. Let's not take it all the way there. No. I've definitely gotten to the point where committing to a relationship and a partnership doesn't, for me, equal we have to be married.
I also have a complex relationship with the idea of marriage. As an individual who values security, longevity, and who wants to build some kind of legacy, it's a very inviting concept, So for me, love and marriage, they do come together, but I also approach them as two different things. So what is the point of getting the government involved in our relationship? Like, what are we going to get out of it? What are the benefits compared to if we just sort out our stuff together on our own right now as it is, Because I found a person who ticks so many of my boxes, it's made me want to get married more than I did a couple of months or years before I met Ndumi.
So what marriage means to me is loaded because, coming from a Christian family and household and how I grew up, it's a sacred and an important, part of one's journey that, they kind of need to go through, or they commit, to, basically. That's how I view marriage. Yeah.
I don't know why you're making me sound like some hedonist.
No, you're
I
not.
also grew up in a Christian family household.
But how you were a rebel and everything.
Well, those were personal choices. So, it's also a loaded word. Yeah, I don't know. There's some traditional part of me that came out when I got a little bit older, just to officially feel like I've committed to one person. It's old school and traditional, and loaded. There's so much family drama.
Yeah. We need the whole day to get through this one.
Yeah.
Okay, you can start.
Sure.
Okay, what?
Okay, I'll go. So in terms of marriage, I have the belief that I'm okay with getting married. To be honest, I'm more scared of the wedding itself than the marriage. Like, I have anxiety. So the idea of everybody focusing on me for hours on end, yes, I have a YouTube channel with thousands of people, but that's different. Having family, watching you there, telling your partner you love them, no, I don't want to do that. So I'm very open to the idea of getting married. I do think though that it's a very sort of outdated thing that we still do. I think we have to be very, very careful, especially as men, for the reasons we want to get married. I think a lot of people, even people like my age, still sort of get into marriage because they want to sort of make sure that this person ain't going nowhere, type of thing. And I don't want to just do something because everybody does it. But I do love weddings, like seeing people getting married, absolutely love it. But I just haven't found that reason for myself outside of that's what everybody does type of thing.
For me, I think I just want a big party. Like everybody just celebrating me and just telling me that I look beautiful in a dress.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I see it. Like we have birthday parties, we have all these different parties. Why not have a wedding? Because I'm looking at it as like, oh, this great party for me that we can have. I mean, for us.
There it is.
So originally, I always thought that marriage was poppycock. I was just like, whatever. No, it's not for me. And maybe it's got to do with the fact that I did have a bit of a broken home as a teenager. So I immediately was like, no, ixnay on the marriage. It's just a farce. It's all just rubbish. People don't stay together. And I think the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, that's nice. It's such a nice idea. It's so cute. I've been told, especially now that, we have marriage equality in the LGBTQ community, I've been to and I've photographed and I've been a part of so many lesbian weddings that, it's beautiful to see people in love and want to do that, want to profess their love in such a way and have people there. I think it's amazing. I think it's beautiful. But I also think, why? So I'm also like, can't I just tell her I love her and we give each other little rings and that's it. I think the older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, maybe one day. Yeah, we're on the same page there. I think there's nothing wrong with being those kind of like old fogies. I don't know, when you've softened up and you're like, okay, let's have a ceremony, But for the most part, it's expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, the wedding part's expensive. So is the divorce part, if that happens. But it's a weird one for us. I think we're on the same page, thankfully. And
we have the child conversation all the time, and it's more of a reinforcing like what we believe in. You go first. I think it'll be interesting to hear yours staying here, man.
So I don't want to have children, and not because I've like written it off from things to do. I just feel like there's so much more of me outside of like being pregnant and having children and all of that. Maybe once I fulfill all my goals and my dreams, I can maybe look at maybe having children. But having children has never been my first priority. I remember like in high school, people would be like, oh, when you're 18, you're going to change your mind. And I was 18 and feelings were the same. Oh, when you're in your 20s, you're going to change. I'm chasing 30 and I still haven't changed my mind. I'm in a relationship and I still haven't changed my mind. Right now, I can stately, cleanly say that I honestly don't want any children.
Yeah.
I want to be an aunt, like
professional aunt.
Yes.
So when it comes to kids, for me, so I love kids, I love babies, and I think it's because I grew up in a household that there was always a baby there. Like whether it was my sisters, my aunts, my cousin's kid, there was always like a baby around. And I love kids, I love toddlers. I think also seeing in my family what kids can do. Like my mom loves us, but she would have had a much better life if she didn't have. She'll never say that, but I personally believe she could have had a better life in some shape or form if she didn't have like the five of us.
Yeah, and everyone, you can have your kids. Just bring them to
bring
us.
them here. We love babies.
We'll look babysit anytime.
We love babies, but our own
5 o'clock, I'll take your kids.
That's so much.
Oh, we've discussed it. Oh, we've discussed it. We've discussed it, all right. If you asked me 5, maybe even 3 years ago, then yeah, I want kids, sure. But in recent months, maybe a couple of years, it's become less appealing. I think just
just because we want to enjoy ourselves together, enjoy travels and independence and freedom from all that. I think time is on our side.
Not mine.
Well, for adoption.
For adoption, yes.
So we haven't written it off, but
Yeah, it was always a tough one because I've never wanted to be with child, if that makes sense. Ever since I was a kid, I always said that I would adopt one day, but I would adopt when I am centered with myself. I've dealt with all of my ish. I'm ready to now look after another human being, bring them into this world, ensure that they have every single thing that they need in life. That is when I would adopt. And I think, in all honesty, as lesbians, we are kind of like the world's natural contraceptives. So nothing is going to just weirdly happen, because what we also agree on, and I know you know where I'm going.
I know where you're going.
What we also agree on is 9 out of 10 heterosexual couples have oopsies. Not to say they don't want them, but they're oopsies.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, the condom broke. Oh, I didn't take the pill. Oh.
Yeah, and even if they're married, it's just like, okay, well, it's kind of the natural order of things. So it happened, and now we have a kid. And
Yeah.
then 4 years into it, they're sort of like, this screaming kid, do we have regrets, maybe? So,
Thank you so much for watching us on the Young Love series. We've absolutely loved chatting with you guys. I think we've learned a little bit about ourselves too, which is great. So from me and Mushe, thank you for watching.
Thank you so much for listening to our story. Get back to your beautiful playlist.
Thank you for tuning in.
And listening to our story.
Thank you so much for being a part of this wonderful conversation with myself and Shanae, and for finding out about the things that make us tick and not tick, but mainly tick. Thank you.
Do you love me like I love you?
5FM. Watch 5FM TV on YouTube. 5FM.